NBA fans, make sure you interact with me. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Slide in my DMs. Let's talk some hoops, and let's get to this mailbag. We kick off this mailbag with this super chat, $5 from JJ Macri. What should the Clippers offer Toronto for Pascal Siakam? As a Clippers fan, I don't want to get rid of Keon Johnson. Do you see the Clippers making any more moves? I'm with you. I kind of like Keon Johnson as well with where the Clippers got him in the NBA draft. As for them bringing in Siakam, let's first talk about fit. I'd really like Siakam alongside Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I understand Kawhi probably not going to play for the majority of next season, but does Siakam and George kind of help you get past not having Kawhi for the majority of the upcoming season? Siakam's a very good defender. He's worked on his handle, although it's still a little bit loose for me. His shot has gotten so much better from when he came into the league out of Cameroon. What would you have to give up? You'd have to give up a lot. Honestly, maybe you have to part with a guy like Keon Johnson. Are you comfortable with parting ways with Terrence Mann, who really had an impressive playoff showing in spurts last year? It might come down to this. You'd rather keep Keon Johnson and Terrence Mann over Pascal Siakam. But if you're Steve Ballmer, who's very aggressive when it comes to running his business, and you think that Siakam can be a great third piece alongside Kawhi and PG-13, you might have to make that deal. Andrew Barroso, hopefully I said that right. Do the Lakers add DeMarcus Cousins? Maybe as a second or third option at center coming off the bench. They already brought in Dwight Howard. They lost Andre Drummond. You still have Marc Gasol on the roster. You're somewhat thin at the center spot, and I thought DeMarcus Cousins gave the Clippers a little bit of juice in the playoffs last year, especially in that series against the Phoenix Suns. Prior to that, he really didn't play much at all. I mean, he was getting DNP'd somewhat consistently. Obviously, Boogie, not the guy he once was in his prime. Injuries have zapped him of that. Can he be a steady second or third option at center? Potentially for Los Angeles. Cameron Crazy. Are you part of the Cameron Crazies? Who is the perfect teammate in the NBA right now for Luka? Obviously not Porzingis. Producer Sam Brown, what do you think?
I think he makes a very valid point. Mr. Crazy, I think, has a very good argument there.
Yeah. Who do you think is a good fit alongside him now?
Who's the perfect teammate?
You're the diehard Mavs fan since you came out the womb.
In an ideal world, I'd want Klay Thompson next to Luka.
That's what I was going to say. Klay Thompson, a healthy Klay Thompson, next to Luka would be fireworks in Dallas. Because Klay doesn't have to dribble the ball, literally, to be an effective player. Whereas Luka can dribble the ball and maintain possession most of the time. He can find Klay Thompson around the three-point arc or dash into the cup because Klay's actually really good at that with ease. So I'd say Klay Thompson or another guy who can just shoot the lights out. Best player in the NBA right now. Embrace debate. This is a topic of conversation and a debate that we've been having for a long time in the Chat Sports offices because it always seems to change. Right now, can you still say LeBron James is the best player? There's an argument there. Can you say Luka Doncic is the best player? Maybe even Giannis, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard. So many elite players in the NBA who could be titled the best. Who do you think is the best, though? T4K Smith 99. Will Buddy Hield get traded? Maybe for Simmons or Siakam. I do think Buddy Hield could be included in a trade package for Ben Simmons. If I'm Daryl Morey from the Philly perspective, I'm not trading Simmons to Sacramento unless I get back to De'Aaron Fox. Because Buddy Hield certainly gives me a guy that I need, a shooter, one of the best shooters in the NBA since he came into the league statistically, alongside Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I think he could get dealt, but with that team that you have right now, I think he fits in nicely alongside Fox, Halliburton, Rashawn Holmes, and Harrison Barnes. So that's a team that I really like right now. Gobs 14, best landing spot for Lauri Markanen and best package for the Bulls if it is a trade. I kind of like Markanen going to Charlotte. That was rumored. I like him going to the Celtics as well. This question coming in from Yes. What should the Lakers starting five be? Good question. We've talked about this a little bit. I think it's going to be Russell Westbrook at the 1. At the 2, you can go with Wayne Ellington Or you can go with Malik Monk, even Kendrick Nunn for spot starts. LeBron James at the 3. I think you could go with Anthony Davis at the 4. And you can go with Marc Gasol or Dwight Howard, depending on what lineup you go up against. Or you could go with Anthony Davis at the 5. He's shown going into this offseason that he's willing to play there more often. That shifts everybody else around. And then do you include, in that case, Monk as well as Ellington in that starting 5? A lot of different options the Lakers can go with. Another $5 super chat, this one coming in from EdBoy813. He's been tuned into us a lot over the last couple of weeks. Why do the Kings still have Luke Walton? Can you explain this, please? I don't think Luke Walton has been given a fair shot with Sacramento. It hasn't been the most ideal situation since he got there. And I think they want to see if Luke Walton can coach this core that I just talked about of De'Aaron Fox, Davion Mitchell, who I really liked how he played during his NBA Summer League debut, showing off that shiftiness. Tyrese Halliburton, still in last year's NBA draft. You have Harrison Barnes, you have Rashawn Holmes, and Buddy Hield. This is a roster that I think you can at least compete for an NBA play-in tournament berth with. So if Luke Walton doesn't get it done this year, then I think you could see Luke Walton being sent out of there, and Sacramento could once again be in the market for another head coach. But I think he does have some ability as a head coach. I like some of the things that he was able to do last year, but the pressure is certainly on, and the hot seat is certainly on fire. Make sure you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports for the best NBA news and rumors, NBA free agency coverage, NBA draft, prospect breakdowns, basically everything you can think about. We got you covered here at Chat Sports. Turn on those notifications, therefore, anytime we push out a video, anytime we go live, you will be notified. Hit that red subscribe button down below or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. Comp_Braden with this question: what free agent player would you want on the Mavs? Remaining? That's tough. I mean, I'd really like for them to bring in Goran Dragic. That's the name that I'm kind of honing in on. I think that Dragic would be a good complementary piece next to Luka Doncic. They also have a long-standing friendship. He's not technically a free agent, though. It would have to be somewhat of a trade. But do you go after a guy like Dennis Schroeder? I don't think so. He's a little bit too inefficient for me. Do you go after some of the other secondary names on the market? Potentially. Apple products. Nice. Dennis Schroeder, possible sign and trade with the Celtics for Smart and Richardson if possible. I don't think the Lakers could absorb the money and the price tags of Marcus Smart and Josh Richardson, excuse me. So I think that the discussions would really end there. I don't hate Schroeder on the Celtics, but it's been reported that the Celtics have offered Marcus Smart a contract extension north of $70 million. Josh Richardson is also making a decent amount of money as well, so the Lakers simply wouldn't be able to absorb all of those contracts. Jay Moose, also a Niner fan, shout out to the 49ers report. Who do the Warriors add next in free agency? You're looking at bottom-of-the-barrel players. You're looking at depth pieces. You're looking at guys who are going to come in off the bench and really not get many minutes at all or be a part of that rotation. I think the Warriors are somewhat set right now in free agency. Could they bring back another noteworthy name? Potentially. But I think with them signing Andre Iguodala last Friday kind of signals that the Warriors have kind of filled out their entire roster and they're content with what they have going into next year. Who do you think was the best signing in NBA free agency? Could it be a guy like Kyle Lowry? Maybe even Chris Paul? Do you like the Rudy Gay signing? Do you like Jeff Green? More of value deals that we're discussing here. Who was the best signing in NBA free agency? Give me some names in the comments section. Juan's Toy Show. Can Kevin Love go to the Lakers? If he gets bought out by the Cavs and then he signs for the veterans minimum with the Lakers. That's really it. Kevin Love on his current contract, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of $20 plus, $30 plus million. If it's a straight up trade to Los Angeles, couldn't happen. If it's a buyout, some type of restructure, he's willing to take the veterans minimum, then potentially. And the Lakers kind of thin at the front court spots. I think Love is a floor spacer, a guy who can stretch the floor and knock down some threes. Kind of intriguing on the Lakers if they can afford him. Doggo's other account. What do the Raptors need to be a championship team? continue to build. What Scotty Barnes did on Sunday in the Summer League gave you some hope that he could end up being a stud. Popped a tray ball, and he did not pop a tree or trees. Didn't pop a cherry either. Scotty Barnes, I thought he impressed me in his NBA Summer League debut. Was kind of doing it all. Came through with the double-double, was able to hit a three. If he continues to develop and becomes a star down the road, that could be your next piece of that core. David Legic, hopefully I said that right. Do you think the Lakers will sign Paul Millsap or a guy like James Ennis? Yeah, maybe a guy like James Ennis. Paul Millsap, if he's really trying to chase a ring, I think that he could sign elsewhere worth more money. But is Paul Millsap content with all of the bags that he's been able to secure throughout his NBA career? Let's get to this one from Randy SD. Should Boston trade for Cole Anthony? If I'm the Magic, I'm keeping Cole Anthony. I like what they have going on down there. I thought they crushed the draft because I think Jalen Suggs is going to be a baller. You get a 3-and-D wing to fit alongside him and Franz Wagner. You still have Markelle Fultz, who, if he can figure out his jump shot woes and come off that torn ACL, I think he can be a good guard in this rotation. Cole Anthony flashed at times last year. Wendell Carter, a solid big man who you brought in that trade that sent out Nikola Vucevic. You still have Jonathan Isaac as well as Mo Bamba. The pieces are certainly there on that roster, and I kind of like Cole Anthony in the mix as a guy who can come in off the bench and give you some buckets or start for you as well. Yeah, be sure to hit me up on Twitter at Chase_Senior. Same handle on Instagram as well, at Chase_Senior. Slide in my DMs. Hit me with an NBA-related question. I've had a bunch of people slide in my DMs over the last couple of weeks. I've been able to answer all of them, and as more continue to pile in, I'll be sure to respond to all of you. So once again, at Chase_Senior on Instagram and Twitter. Let's chop it up. Let's talk some ball. It can be about the NBA draft, NBA free agency, any NBA predictions. Hit me up. Let's ball out. Richard Lee. Dame or Bradley Beal to the Mavs? I think Bradley Beal and Dame are going to be on their respective teams until at least the NBA trade deadline. I think Dame and Beal want to see how this upcoming season is going to transpire. If it's a dumpster fire for both of those organizations, maybe Dame and Beal both get traded away. Because if it becomes so hostile, so out of whack, that they just want to worry about getting good value back and rebuilding, then I think that's smart to do from an organizational standpoint. But to the Mavs right now, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, I mean, who are you giving up for the player of the caliber of Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal? Are the Wizards going to take, or the Trailblazers going to take Kristaps Porzingis and that fat salary for a guy who hasn't lived up to expectations? I don't think so. That's one of the only tradable assets you have on that roster. Marcelo Gonzalez, can you talk about the Miami Heat moves and their team in general? Love what the Heat did. They get an A grade from me in NBA free agency. I thought every move that they made had Pat Riley's fingertips all over them. The Miami Heat, I respect them from this standpoint where they never worry about rebuilding, retooling, or tanking. They're not going to undergo the quote-unquote process. They're always just going to retool. And they're going to replenish. And that's what smart businesses do. That's what smart organizations do. And that's what the Miami Heat did in NBA free agency. I like Lauri at the number they were able to get him at. I thought it was going to be around $30 million per season. It's a little less than that. You signed Jimmy Butler to the max. You signed Duncan Robinson for more than $90 million. He's a great shooter. You have Bam Adebayo under contract, now a gold medalist for the next several years. You bring in depth pieces like P.J. Tucker, Victor Oladipo. Miami Heat, they slayed the game in free agency. Matej, hopefully I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. Dragic and Siakam to the Mavs for Porzingis, Powell, and Brunson. Producer Sam Brown, does that deal go through if you're Dallas? Dragic, Siakam to the Mavs for Porzingis, Powell, and Brunson.
I personally would do it. I think it's probably hit or miss. You guys see it on your screen right now, but that's a tough one. I'm not sure it's 100% enough. You may throw in like a second rounder or a flyer in there.
Yeah, that's a really good trade idea. Thank you for sending that along. I'm just not sure the Raptors get enough back. I think Siakam's a good player. I think Dragic can still play even though he's in his mid-30s. and you're giving up somewhat damaged goods in Kristaps Porzingis. I like Powell, really like Brunson. Not sure if that moves the needle just enough, but thanks for that trade idea. Amand Carr, hopefully I said that right as well. Can the Raptors get Beal? They'd have to part ways with like OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, and another young piece, maybe even a future draft pick. When we're talking about superstar players being traded, you have to give up a bunch to get those superstar players. I mean, there's a reason why all of these trades, look at the James Harden one, just consisted of a haul. You don't trade away superstar players for nothing. So for the Raptors, a bunch of young assets and future draft capital to get back one of the best scorers in the NBA today.